Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the October 2024 City Council meeting. Tonight's meeting is being held in City Council chambers, is being streamed live on City 12 TV, as well as the City Council's YouTube and Facebook pages. We also continue to post meeting information and materials on the city's website. The meeting will now come to order, and I ask Deputy Clerk to call the roll.
Councilmember Gruber.
Here.
Councilmember Lightfoot.
Present, ma'am.
Councilmember Lupian.
Here.
Councilmember Martin.
Here.
Councilmember Monroe.
Here.
Councilmember Patterson.
Here.
Councilmember Smith. Vice President Harris is excused, and President Melendez.
Here. This month is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and I'd like to ask the council and the community to join me in a moment of silence for all those who have been who've lost to breast cancer, as well as all those who have been victims of violence in our community. Please join me in a moment of silence. Thank you. Councilmember Lightfoot, will you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Absolutely.
At this time, I'd like to invite my colleagues to the podium for tonight's recognitions. In the month of October, we celebrate Indigenous Peoples Day. Can the individuals who are on the Indigenous Peoples Day Committee, the Indigenous Health Coalition, and other entities please join us in the front? Since 2018, the City of Rochester has joined cities across the nation in recognizing Indigenous Peoples Day. In 2022, City Council unanimously approved a resolution to permanently commemorate Indigenous Peoples Day each October in the City of Rochester. It has been a moment of pride in our city to be able to create a path for the healing and for the Haudenosaunee Confederacy, and to celebrate and elevate Indigenous people in our community. On behalf of the Rochester City Council and in honor of Indigenous Peoples Day, we want to thank you all for your efforts to bring visibility to Indigenous culture, history, and identity within the City of Rochester and beyond. Your dedication as part of the Indigenous Peoples Day Committee, the Indigenous Health Coalition, and all other efforts promotes well-being for all Indigenous people living in Rochester by building awareness, aiming to increase access to holistic wellness opportunities, and working to build better representation and consistency in local health data. Thank you for all the work that you do, and in recognition of Indigenous Peoples Day, Council offers our deepest respects. Next, as I mentioned earlier, October marks Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Can the members representing the Breast Cancer Coalition of Rochester, the African American Health Coalition, the outreach groups from Cancer Support Community Rochester at Gilda's Club Rochester, Embrace Your Sisters, Jordan Health, and Elizabeth Wen Breast Cancer Care Facility, please come to the front. More than 3.8 million people in the U.S. have a history of breast cancer. Unfortunately, Rochester ranks third of U.S. cities with the highest rate of breast cancer. Today, we honor the caregivers, survivors, and persons undergoing treatment and give thanks to the medical professionals and volunteers who support patients and their families. The theme for this year's Breast Cancer Awareness Month is "No one should face breast cancer alone." It is evident tonight that people in our community do not face breast cancer alone, thanks to all of you. We are thrilled to invite those organizations, resources, and volunteers who are working tirelessly to support families and to put an end to the disease. On behalf of Rochester City Council and in honor of Breast Cancer Awareness Month and National Mammography Day, we want to recognize you for the strides you have made to fight breast cancer. You provide support, advocacy, and services to those touched by a diagnosis of breast cancer, make care a priority through education, advocacy, and ensure people with breast cancer have access to information to make informed decisions about their health journey. Thank you for all you do in our community. And in recognition of Breast Cancer Awareness Month, Rochester City Council is appreciative of the service you provide to our community. Thank you. We'll take a moment for a picture. At this time, I'd like to invite Fire Chief Stefano Napolitano, the Rochester Fire Department Executive Team, and any members of the Rochester Fire Department to please join us in the front. The Rochester Fire Department responds to numerous emergencies such as vehicle extrication, medical emergencies, high-level rescue, hazardous materials incidents, structure collapse, swift water rescue, and many more emergency operations. The firefighters and staff are critical to ensuring the safety of residents in the city of Rochester. Today we celebrate Fire Prevention Month. In 1922, the National Fire Protection Association named the second week of October Fire Prevention Week in commemoration of the Great Chicago Fire in 1871. This year's theme is Smoke Alarms, Make Them Work for You. As some may know, the Rochester Fire Department will provide home safety checks and install pre-purchased alarms upon request. The RFD will visit any city home to ensure smoke and carbon monoxide alarms are correctly installed and are in working order. On behalf of the citizens of Rochester, we see the service you provide when it comes to putting out fires, but there's a lot of prevention work that you do each and every day that we're very thankful that you do that work. Rochester City Council would like to thank the Rochester Fire Department for their efforts in spreading fire safety awareness and education to families, students, neighborhoods across the city of Rochester. And we do have a proclamation, which I will not read, that we will present to the chief and the team here, and we want to thank you all again for your service. And I would be remiss if I didn't honor and acknowledge our resident firefighter here on council, Mr. Willie J. Lightfoot. Thank you, sir, for your service as well. So finally, we are in for a treat tonight. We are recognizing Dr. Ruth Holland Scott. So Dr. Ruth Holland Scott's community efforts in Rochester began when she became the head of the 19th Ward Community Association. This is one of the oldest neighborhood associations in the country, established to fight racist real estate practices and cultivate diversity in the area. Scott grew passionate for the cause and became the association president. This, along with her volunteer work for Jimmy Carter's presidential campaign, fueled her passion for politics. In 1977, Scott became the first African-American woman to win a seat on the Rochester City Council. And it gets better. It gets better. And likewise, the first black president of the City Council in 1986. She championed cultural diversity, education for all, low-income housing development, neighborhood revitalization, minority and women entrepreneurship, and many other initiatives vital to the city. We also created a proclamation honoring the recently published book, Raising Confident Children, which provides parents with a master class in raising happy, self-assured children in our community. And today, we are going to call this Raising Confident Children Day here in City Council chambers. So Dr. Ruth Holland Scott, we would love for you to join us. This is not customary that we hand over the microphone, but tonight we want to hand over the microphone to you. Please join us.
Now, handing over the microphone is a real honor. Thank you so much. And you know, one of the things I wanted to say, thank you for thinking of me and the work I've tried to do in building community. And I want to turn the tables on these people and say they are doing a really wonderful job in continuing that community. And would you give them a hand? I thought I would share with you a few of the secrets of my success, if you would call it that. In the first place, one of the things that my father always taught me is that you're either a part of the problem or you're a part of the solution. And so in all the work I've done, I've tried to figure out, okay, now what is the problem and what is the solution? And with whom do I have to work to get the things done? It was interesting when I first was asked if I would run for city council by the 19th Ward Committee. Someone said to me, you know what, you shouldn't do that. You don't have the resources to run a campaign. They were right about that. You're not ready to make the decisions and sacrifice the city needs. The city is not ready for a black person to run citywide, and the person has already been chosen. I learned not to pay any attention to naysayers. You know. The second thing I learned is not necessarily to accept what people had to tell me about what I ought to do. And I still remember one person who came up to me when I got the appointment to city council and said, you know what, you can stand in the door and make sure nobody you don't want can come in. And I said, well, that's not quite the way I feel about it. I think my job is to stand at the door and make sure that everybody who needs to and wants to can get in. The third thing I think that really was helpful to me is that I ask a lot of questions. It didn't make me feel badly that I didn't know all the answers because I figured somebody in this place ought to know them. And so I used to go around and visit the different departments to try to figure out what they were doing. And when the head of the department wouldn't talk to me, the secretaries did. And they really knew all the answers. One of the early questions I asked when I came to city council, there were no African Americans or Hispanics visible in City Hall. And I said to the mayor, why is there only one person here? It was the person who ran the elevator. And of course, I got the same answer I always have gotten, is that, well, I don't know anybody who's qualified. And I said, I will find you somebody who's qualified. I asked that same question of business leaders along Main Street. During lunchtime, because I worked at Rochester Community Savings Bank, during lunchtime I would walk down Main Street and visit different offices of the businesses along Main Street. I mean, just drop in to say hello. And how are you? And how are things going? And is there anything the city can do to keep you here and to help you stay healthy? And I asked them the same question. Why are there no visible workers of color in your organization? And sometimes they answered the question and sometimes they did not. But, you know, slowly it began to grow. Once the mayor had a secretary, then other people started to find African Americans that they thought might be able to do the job. Another question that I asked there used to be a restaurant downtown in Midtown where there was a men's only restaurant. I always ignored those kind of things. I did it in the bank, and I did it in some other places. And so one day I was really busy because I had missed the getting lunch, and I knew that I had two meetings going on. I was the chair of public safety. That makes me really feel comfortable here tonight. And so anyway, I stopped in this restaurant. I really didn't think about it. I just stopped because they had food, and I said, and the maitre d' came out and he said, "What are you doing?" And I said, "What do you mean I'm doing? I'm waiting to be fed. I'm hungry." And he said, "Oh, don't you know this is a men's restaurant?" And I said, "Why?" And he said, "Ruth, if you will not do this again, I will bring you whatever you want." And guess what happened? Once I was there, it started to fill up with women all the time. And so sometimes it's just asking the right question that gets people to move in the direction that they ought to move. One other question I raised I just want to share with you, which sort of leads me to my book in a way. And that was, there used to be a time when some of the young people in our community were running through Midtown and throwing the things that were on the counters on the floor. And of course, everybody was scared to death of them. And nobody said anything to them, which is really a top mistake as far as I'm concerned. We ought to always be talking with them. If we don't talk to them, if we don't tell them what they should be doing, how will they know? And so anyway, when they came out this one time, I was standing in the middle of Midtown, and I said, "What is it you're doing?" And they stopped, and somebody talked to them, somebody challenged them. And I said, "That is so terrible what you're doing. Don't you understand that this is what people want you to do, so they'll have an excuse to put you in jail and throw away the key?" And it was funny because there were two young men standing over to the side, and one of them said, "Who is she?" And then I said, "She's a city council person." Then I knew that I had made it because and you know what? I don't think I made it stop, but it stopped after that. So you never know when you say a word what impact you're going to have. And one of the reasons why I wrote this book called Raising Confident Children is because I believe that if we don't do something for the children, we're going to be in a lot more trouble than we think we're in now. They are important. They are the future. And if we don't teach them, who will? Secondly, it's important that we show them respect. I know we have all this thing about, they're not respectful, they don't respect us. But if they don't have any role models of respect in front of them, how do you expect them to respect? And I'd just like to share one thing in the book, which is a poem that I wrote early on in its process. If I can find it, I thought I had it. I think I could find it. It's got to be in here. It's called Resurrecting Their Dreams. I looked into the eyes of my children when they were young and found truth and excitement about each day. I looked into the eyes of the young men and women, including my own grown children, and found clouded sight and disappointment concerning their futures. Someone had thrown smoke at them, hurled ignorance into their faces until they could no longer look innocently towards the heavens. They now experienced fear, the flight caused by such nonsense settling into each cell. Their dreams now buried beneath their daunting experiences. We pray that strokes of confidence one day will clear that doubt away, sweep the rooms of their minds with brushes of truth and inspiration, concerning that they are indeed of eternal worth and imbued with infinite possibility. Thank you so much.
Dr. Scott, we want to take a quick picture with you if you don't mind.
Oh, right, sure.
Yes. This is all hers. Yeah, we'll give it to her. So we'll now move on to the business of council. Everyone is certainly welcome to stay, but I promise you there's not too much to be excited about once we get into it. So you're welcome to stay. Please do if you'd like to. And we will now move to the approval of the minutes by Council Member Lupien.
Resolved that the minutes of the regular meeting on September 24th, 2024 be approved as published in the official sheets of the proceedings.
All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
The following documents are hereby directed to be received and filed. The mayor submits the following: administrative cancellation or refund of erroneous taxes and charges during September 2024. Delinquent receivables report for the month ending September 2024. The council submits disclosure of interest forms from President Melendez on introductory numbers 394 and 400, Vice President Harris and Councilmember Lupien on introductory numbers 412, 413, 414, and 416, and Councilmember Gruber on introductory number 421.
Thank you. These documents were received and filed. It is time for the presentation and reference of petitions and any other communications. Are there any petitions? Seeing none, we will now move on to the standing reports, reports of standing committees in action thereon. Chairperson Patterson, the Neighborhood Jobs and Housing Committee report, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. To the Council, the Neighborhood Jobs and Housing Committee recommends for adoption the following entitled legislation: Introductory number 386, authorizing the sale of real estate. Introductory number 388, ordinance authorizing sale easement on 285 North Union Street. Introductory number 389, resolution authorizing an appointment to the Rochester Environmental Commission. Introductory number 391, appropriating funds and authorizing an agreement to conduct focused revitalization planning for 2 sub-areas of the Bull's Head Brownfield Opportunity Area. Introductory number 392, authorizing appropriations, loan agreements, the sale of real estate, a payment in lieu of taxes agreement, and amending the 2024 budget for the True North Apartments project. Hooray, hurrah, hooray. Introductory number 393, authorizing appropriations and agreements for the Emergency Solutions Grant Program. Introductory number 394, authorizing appropriation, budget amendment, and mandatory agreements related to the Buy the Block program. Another hooray, hurrah, hooray. Introductory number 395, appropriating American Rescue Act funds and amending the 2024-2025 budget for the Housing Rehabilitation Program. Yep, another hooray, hurrah, hooray. Introductory number 396, authorizing an intermunicipal agreement with Monroe County and amending the 2024-2025 budget related to lead paint poisoning prevention inspection services. Introductory number 421, appropriating additional funds, amending the 2024-2025 budget, and amending agreements related to improvements for Peace Village as amended. The Neighborhood Jobs and Housing Committee recommends for consideration the following entitled legislation: Introductory number 390, amending the zoning map by changing the zoning classification of 1369 East Avenue. The Neighborhood Jobs and Housing Committee recommends the following entitled legislation to be held in committee: Introductory number 387, authorizing a purchase option agreement for the development of a Joseph Avenue Performing Arts Center. Introductory number 420, appropriating 2024-2025 annual action plan funds and authorizing agreements for street liaison services. This report is respectfully submitted by council members Mitch Gruber, Kimberly Smith, Vice President Lachey D. Harris, President Miguel A. Melendez Jr., and myself, Michael A. Patterson.
Thank you, Chairperson Patterson. That report will be received, filed, and published, and we'll proceed with the vote. Introductory number 386, authorizing the sale of real estate. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Introductory number 388, ordinance authorizing sale easement on 280 North Union Street. Just want to disclose that I am a board member of the Greater Rochester Housing Partnership, and I must recuse myself from deliberation and the vote. This requires a roll call.
Councilmember Gruber,
Yes.
Councilmember Lightfoot,
Yes.
Councilmember Lupian,
Yes.
Councilmember Martin,
Yes.
Councilmember Monroe,
Yes.
Councilmember Patterson,
Yes.
Councilmember Smith,
Yes.
Vice President Harris is excused, and President Melendez.
Abstain. Motion carries. Introductory number 389, a resolution authorizing an appointment to the Rochester Environmental Commission. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Introductory number 390, amending the zoning map by changing the zoning classification of 1369 East Avenue. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Introductory number 391, appropriating funds and authorizing an agreement to conduct focused revitalization planning for 2 sub-areas of the Bull's Head Brownfield Opportunity Area. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Introductory number 392, authorizing appropriations, loan agreements, and the sale of real estate, a payment in lieu of taxes agreement, and amending the 2024-25 budget for the True North Apartments project. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Introductory number 393, authorizing appropriations and agreements for the Emergency Solutions Grant Program. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Introductory number 394, authorizing appropriation, budget amendment, and amendatory agreements related to the Buy the Block program. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Introductory number 395, appropriating American Rescue Plan Act funds and amending the 2024-25 budget for the Housing Rehabilitation Program. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Introductory number 396, authorizing an intermunicipal agreement with Monroe County and amending the 2024-25 budget relating to lead paint poisoning prevention inspection services. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Introductory number 421, appropriating additional funds, amending the 2024-25 budget, and amending agreements relating to improvements for Peace Village. And we did amend this in committee, so as amended. Before we take a quick vote on this to the administration, I just want to thank you for your work on this project, this item. I know that it's been complicated. One of the things that I will do following this meeting is not necessarily related to the legislation before us, but understanding the unique relationships that we have between the city of Rochester and the various entities that we're outlining. So we will be following up with a quick memo to ask some additional questions related to the contractual nature of the relationships and make sure that we have clarity on who's responsible for what moving forward. Thank you. So with that, I'll take a vote on the item. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Abstention.
It's one abstention. Sorry, one abstention. Chair Patterson, do you have a motion related to introductory number 420?
Yes, I would like to make a motion to discharge introductory number 420 from committee. Can I have a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. So now we'll vote on discharging from committee. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And the motion carries. And there is an amendment for the item. Chair Patterson?
Yes, so there is an amendment. I believe everyone has it. But in a nutshell, what the amendment does is that it strikes Cameron Community Ministries in the northwest quadrant. Cameron Community Ministries, Inc. will facilitate the 2024-2025 contract as a previously awarded organization has opted out. That section has been stricken from the legislation, and so we will not be funding Cameron Community Ministries. That is the proposed amendment on the floor.
And to be clear to my colleagues and to the administration, it is our expectation that there will be a Northwest Street liaison. There's some due diligence that needs to be done following this amendment, but I do want to see if there's any discussion on the amendment.
Yeah, so I do appreciate that the amendment was sent as soon as possible from the administration in writing. I do think it's good practice to give us time to review these decisions, so I want to say thank you for that. I do also want to ask about your reasoning behind submitting the amendment to remove Cameron.
The only reason is, and this doesn't mean that Cameron may not come back next month. I'm sure you know there was a report that came out on Friday, which came out after, this was already submitted to council. So just in keeping with making sure we do our due diligence, we want to make sure that we follow up. So if there's questions that you may have related to Cameron, that we'll be able to answer those questions. As you know, we have a couple of relationships with Cameron from our, they're a part of our Peace Collective. They're also a part of our ambassador program. We've had good relationships with them up until now, but in light of that report that was just released on Friday, we just want to make sure that we get back with Cameron. We have not had the opportunity yet before we submit something to the council regarding Cameron. So hopefully next month we'll be able to come back with this. And I will say you probably will see this same thing when you come up to the Peace Collective. We may ask you to hold, because there's some organizations that are mentioned in the Peace Collective that, again, remember this report just came out Friday, so the administration, we're still following up on all of the things on our end. So far, all of our I's are dotted, T's are crossed. I want to be clear that from our perspective, we're not saying that our experience with any of these organizations have been wrong, that there's something, so far everything's been good on our end, but we just want to make sure that we can come back to council and say we did a double check on everything before we submit something.
Absolutely. I appreciate that. And I think for us, it is an opportunity to pause and really focus on reporting, evaluating the organizations we're funding. And yeah, thank you for making this move. I fully support it.
Councilmember Lightfoot.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President, and Mayor and Administration. Just to be clear, I hear the next month, but the report that came out Friday said that those organizations, they mentioned 5 at that particular time, were being submitted to the AG's office and or to the FBI. So I don't know if that really has anything to do with us, right? So I'm just thinking like it could potentially be longer than a month, right? I would hope that we would wait until we hear more inclusive evidence from the referral of these cases to FBI and the Attorney General office to really be able to make a more informed decision.
Yeah, when I say a month, I don't mean those particular organizations. I mean, like, because we got to have someone in the Northwest.
Gotcha.
We'll have some type of.
It could
thing
be
there.
someone else.
And then the other thing too is, and you know, we're still digesting the report. Is separating the individuals from the organization. Mm-hmm. It could be an individual and not the overall organization. Mm-hmm. You take an organization like Cameron that's been around for 50 years.
Sure.
That one particular case calls out a particular individual. So if the organization can show that they have the efficacy, then we might be able to do something there. But I would just say I want to thank council, because if you remember, we spent a good chunk of money on for our ARPA funds, and people said, why are you spending money on the Bronner Group? Mm-hmm. This is why we did this, because we have a third-party reviewing every single thing that we did with ARPA, and it was just good practice that we did that. So we want to make sure that we come back and do our due diligence and give you a report on to say, hey, we should go with a different organization or whatever, but we need at least a month to be able to do that.
No, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Any additional discussion? All right, seeing none, we'll vote on introductory number 420 as. Actually, we're voting on the amendment at this point. We're voting on the amendment, so we have an amendment on the floor. So we'll vote on the amendment for introductory 420. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries on the amendment. Now we'll vote on introductory number 420 as amended. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. I will now share the People, Parks, and Public Works Committee report on behalf of the Vice President. To the Council, the People, Parks, and Public Works Committee recommends the following. So we'll take a moment to pause. Yeah. We'll ask that we clear the room. Yeah, we're going to clear the room. So we'll take a brief recess to clear the room. We're not. If security can clear the room, please, we would appreciate it. We'll get back to you. Sounds good. After the meeting, we'll be here. Thanks. Thank you. So we'll now resume the committee report for People, Parks, and Public Works Committee. People, Parks, and Public Works Committee recommends for adoption the following entitled legislation. Introductory number 397, authorizing agreements for the Bull's Head Revitalization Project. Introductory number 398, resolution authorizing the implementation and funding of a state Marchicelli program aid-eligible transportation federal aid project to fully fund the local share of federal and state aid eligible and ineligible costs for the Bull's Head Revitalization Project and appropriating funds therefore. Introductory number 400, authorizing an agreement and appropriating funds for the Martin Luther King Jr. Memorial Playground renovation. Introductory number 401, appropriating American Rescue Plan Act funds for the 2023 lead service line replacement project 3C. Introductory number 402, bond ordinance of the City of Rochester, New York, authorizing the issuance of $992,000 bonds of said city to finance the 2023 lead service line replacement project 3C, contiguous street betterment. Introductory number 403, bond ordinance of the City of Rochester, New York, authorizing the issuance of $1,244,000 bonds of said city to finance the 2023 lead service line replacement project 3C, adjacent street restoration. Introductory number 404, authorizing agreements relating to the Rochester Peace Collective Initiative. Introductory number 405, project authorizing a land lease at the public market. Introductory number 406, authorizing an intermunicipal grant agreement to support recreation and positive youth development programming. Introductory number 407, authorizing a mandatory agreement related to animal services spay and neuter voucher program. Introductory number 408, authorizing agreement for the railroad underpass improvements project as amended. The People, Parks, and Public Works Committee recommends for consideration the following entitled legislation. Introductory number 399, authorizing a change in traffic flow on Federal Street Line Replacement Project. This report respectfully submitted by Councilmember Willie J. Lightfoot, Councilmember Mary Lupian, Councilmember Michael Patterson, Vice President Lachey Harris, and myself, President Melendez. So that report will be received, filed, and published, and will proceed with the vote. Introductory number 397, authorizing agreements for a Bull's Head Revitalization Project. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Introductory number 398, a resolution authorizing the implementation and funding of a state Marchicelli program aid-eligible transportation federal aid project to fully fund the local share of federal and state aid-eligible and ineligible project costs for the Bull's Head Revitalization Project and appropriating funds therefore. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Introductory number 399, authorizing a change in traffic flow on Federal Street. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Introductory number 400, authorizing an agreement and appropriating funds for the Martin Luther King Jr. Memorial Playground renovation. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Introductory number 401, appropriating American Rescue Plan Act funds for the 2023 lead service line replacement project 3C. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Introductory number 402, a bond ordinance of the City of Rochester, New York, authorizing the issuance of $992,000 bonds of said city to finance the 2023 lead service line replacement project 3C, contiguous street betterment. This requires a roll call. Yes, the motion carries. Introductory number 403, a bond ordinance of the City of Rochester, New York, authorizing the issuance of $1,244,000 bonds of said city to finance the 2023 lead service line replacement project 3C, adjacent street restoration. This requires a roll call.
Councilmember Monroe? Yes. Councilmember Patterson? Yes. Councilmember Smith? Yes. Vice President Harris is excused. President Melendez?
Yes. Motion carries. Introductory number 404, authorizing agreements related to the Rochester Peace Collective. I would like to make a motion to table introductory number 404. The reason being very similar to another item we had earlier tonight. There was a report that was released last week and some more due diligence is required. Can I have a second? It's been seconded. So we'll vote on tabling introductory number 404. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Testing. There we go.
My bad.
Yes, Councilmember Martin, you had a question?
Yes. Before this is brought up over the next month to the administration, could we find a time to sit with your office and talk about some of the questions and concerns we have? We'll have a month at least.
Yeah, I would, you mean about 404, just in the general conversation?
About RPC in general, and so like the actual ordinance that introductory that's in front of us, but also RPC in general.
Yeah, any questions? Yeah, we could work with the council office to schedule something.
Sounds good. Thank you.
We have to move expeditiously because we want to have these funds encumbered by December 31st because these are ARPA funds.
Yeah.
So it would have to be fast. And if we find, and I just want to be clear, with us tabling this, I want to say to the organizations that we are in no way saying that any of these organizations did anything related to their relationship with the city. That report that was released, everyone should just remember that was related to the county and their engagement with them. So far, I will say that all of our engagements that we have had with individuals that have been in the Peace Collective that may have been mentioned in that report, we've had good relationships. We have not seen anything, but out of an abundance of caution, I think it is important that we go back and look and then come back with a report on what we find. And then during that time, we can answer any other questions that people may have.
Absolutely, and I, echoing what you said, fully support it, fully support getting the funds out to the organizations doing incredible work in our community. My questions would mainly be around changes in policy and how people access funds and reimbursement. So I'm glad it's held while you do your due diligence and we get some time to ask questions too.
Councilmember Lupia?
Yeah, Mayor, when you say encumbered, I know that word means something to us and maybe ARPA means something different. There's been a lot of kind of webinars out there around how to not lose your ARPA funds and making sure that like we have an MOU or a contract or something like that. Encumbered isn't just allocated, right?
Right. Well, it means allocated, making sure that we have a contract signed that these dollars are going to make sure.
Or an MOU, yeah.
So
okay.
we are so crazy here at the city that if we underspend by, I saw something the other day, it was by $7.14. We want to make sure that we reallocate it to make sure that we don't lose dollars. And
That's great.
And we welcome any other municipality that won't be able to use their money, send it over to
Yep,
us.
we can use it.
know how to do it. But yeah, that's what we mean, making sure that we're doing that. And we only have 2 more council member meetings left for the rest of the year, so that's why it's important for us to move fast on this stuff, but at the same time, making sure our eyes are on it.
Do you expect more to come through in November and December?
Oh, yes.
Yeah,
Oh,
okay.
yes, absolutely.
And to that end, Mayor and the administration, I've had some conversations with council members too about, we know that the ARPA tracker is available and online, but getting a final update, if you will, or a final prognosis of where we are as we head into the month of December, November and December, to ensure that we are on target. We would like to spend some time maybe in committee or somewhere else, making sure that we're up to speed.
So my goal is to have a final report for council in the community by like the end of November on all the stuff that's coming for December, but also the stuff that we spent money on. If you remember, we had an ARPA book that we did in 2022 or 2023. We want to have a final ARPA book that details where all of our money went, background on all of the programs, so that way not only the federal government can see how we spent our money, but as well as the taxpayers but our constituents as well. So that is the plan.
All right, thank you. So I'm going to move us along to introductory number 405, authorizing a land lease at the public market. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Introductory number 406, authorizing an intermunicipal grant agreement to support recreation and positive youth development programming. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Introductory number 407, authorizing a mandatory agreement related to Animal Services Spay and Neuter Voucher Program. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Introductory number 408, authorizing agreement for the Railroad Underpass Improvement Project as amended. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Chairperson Gruber, the Budget, Finance, and Governance Committee report, please.
To the Council, the Budget, Finance, and Governance Committee recommends for adoption the following entitled legislation. Introductory number 409, authorizing an agreement relating to the Grow Rochester program. Introductory number 410, authorizing an agreement supporting the Financial Empowerment Center. Introductory number 411, authorizing an mandatory agreement for labor and employment law services. Introductory number 412, a local law establishing a school bus stop arm camera demonstration program. Introductory number 413, authorizing agreements for implementation and administration of a school bus stop arm enforcement program. Introductory number 414, authorizing an intermunicipal agreement relating to the acquisition of a parking lot for the World of Inquiry School number 58. The Budget, Finance, and Governance Committee recommends for the following entitled legislation to be held in committee. Introductory number 419, authorizing an agreement for the management and operation of the Blue Cross Arena at the War Memorial. This report was respectfully submitted by Councilmember Bridget Monroe, Stanley Martin, Vice President Lachey Harris, President Melendez, and myself, Mitch Gruber.
Thank you, Chairperson Gruber. That report will be received, filed, and published, and we'll proceed with the vote. Introductory number 409, mandatory authorizing an agreement, authorizing an agreement relating to the Grow Rochester program. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Introductory number 410, authorizing an agreement supporting the Financial Empowerment Center. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Introductory number 411, authorizing a mandatory agreement for labor and employment law services. Councilmember Lupien, you have a...
I do. I will be voting no on this item, and I just wanted to express my frustration and maybe get some clarity from the administration. When this item was before us in January, I expressed concerns and was told that we needed this law firm in order to help us understand how we could recognize the union. And instead, from what I understand, it's being used to fight the chosen union that the PAB workers have selected. And that's the reason I'll be not supporting this item. I don't know if you have a different understanding.
I have a different take on that, but I would want to discuss it in...
Understood.
Yeah, I would definitely want to discuss that in P&Z.
Mm-hmm. I think
I would just say that...
we'd be welcome to have that.
One broad thing I will say is that AFSCME is the union for for the bulk of the employees in the city of Rochester, and most of our employees are a part of AFSCME. I think that's where this conversation is. But again, I would want to have a conversation in PNC
Yeah.
to get more depth into
Yeah, maybe we can get that scheduled.
yeah.
Thank you.
Additional comment?
Councilmember Martin?
Thank you. I will also be voting no on this item for similar reasons stated by Council Member Lupian. For me, it's just so important to recognize the workers. The charter duly gives the power to recognize unions in our city to the mayor. I do feel that we were deceived in being told that this is something that council can have a say on or weigh in, because if that was the truth, many of us would support the PAD workers in choosing to unionize with Workers United. It is not absurd or unusual for city employees to have their own unions outside of AFSCME. We see that with RPD, we see that with the firefighters, and it could be a possibility also for the Police Accountability Board. So in support of the workers who are doing such an incredible job, they just released 31 reports regarding investigations. They've released countless oversight reports, including policy recommendations. I will be standing with the workers today and voting no on funding what they call a union busting law firm.
Any additional comments before we do a roll call? Councilmember Patterson?
So just a point of clarification, if we can get this from Corporation Counsel, what in general, what is the work that this law firm is doing, and what is, is this currently being litigated, or what is occurring here, and what would be the implications if we do not vote for this funding?
So this is currently being litigated in PERB, the Public Employee Relations Board, and the issue is what the most appropriate bargaining unit is, whether it's Workers United or AFSCME. If we don't continue this funding, then the city is not going to be able to continue to be part of that litigation. And really, we need PERB to finish this process to make a decision. There's a hearing officer assigned. The hearing officer is going to hear the arguments of Workers United, of AFSCME, of the city, and is going to make a final determination as to where these employees ought to go. And so we need this funding to see the process through.
If council members have questions about this too, I would recommend that you also have a conversation with AFSCME, because AFSCME is also a part of this litigation, and we try not to choose sides, but AFSCME is a union that represents city workers. So that's here. I mean, you know, it's much more complicated than it sounds. So I'm sorry if anyone felt deceived, but it's trust me, it's much more complicated.
So if I can,
but again, I think if follow up PNC, because this does relate to litigation, we could have a more in-depth conversation. But this is where we're at with this.
so just a general question along these lines. So we are currently in litigation. We are a party to this litigation.
Correct.
This is the law firm that is representing us in this litigation. It is before a hearing. It is currently assigned to a hearing officer, or it is being reviewed by a hearing officer.
It's currently, we've had 6 days of hearing before a hearing officer, and final briefs are now with the hearing officer.
Okay, so we are coming up on the end of this, and this is that end bit of work. This is the additional work that this contractor has done on our behalf to get us here. This is a debt that is owed to someone by the city of Rochester. Is that the position that we're in right now?
Correct.
Thank you.
So before I turn it back to other colleagues really quick, so at this point in the process, I know that we don't have control of when a decision is made per se, but I am concerned that we continue to spend dollars on this. So in your assessment, if you could kind of give us a sense, where are we in terms of the culmination of the process? Is this the final step, or do you foresee that there might be additional items coming before council?
I don't expect additional items. So we've had 6 days of hearings. A lot of that was because the parties didn't stipulate to certain facts. And so following the hearings, there's final briefing. That's complete. briefs are all in. We're just waiting for a decision. So I don't expect, this is to pay for money spent during the second hearing, which we didn't anticipate we would have to have. So I do not expect an additional spend after this.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Martin?
Two things. So if this is passed, we would have spent $130,000 in taxpayer funds to support the city's position that Workers United should not be representing the PAB, correct?
We have spent we will have spent $130,000 to represent the city to go through the petition process at PERB, which is the state law process to recognize the union.
But not necessarily go through the petition process, right? Because going through the petition process is not necessarily litigation, right? The additional funds you just said is to cover litigation in a hearing that you didn't anticipate, correct?
No, the petition process is litigation. To petition is to seek the input of PERB, right? And so we're litigating the issues in front of PERB.
And previously, when this item was before us, we asked the same question, do you anticipate there'd be more? At that point, you gave a similar answer. Litigation is inherently unpredictable. I understand that, and I do believe that was like a good faith response similar to what we're hearing now. However, it is also fiscally responsible to consider settling. In that vein, at any point through this litigation, can the city decide to recognize recognize PAB Workers United?
The city, I believe, is prepared to recognize the workers at issue as part of AFSCME. AFSCME and we are aligned on that issue.
So at any point, right, because the issue that's being litigated, which you stated, is which union which union is supposed to, or in your belief it's AFSCME, and Workers United, and in the PAB workers' belief it's Workers United. But at any point, is it possible for the city to decide, okay, this is too expensive, we're going to walk away and just recognize the workers with PAB? Is that a possibility?
We can discuss dynamics of settlement in a PNC.
Okay.
Settlement's always a possibility, but we obviously have interests with our current bargaining units as well.
Absolutely. And for me, it's important to state, I fully support AFSCME, and I also fully support the PAB workers and the union they're choosing to recognize them. And thank you for your responses.
Councilmember Lupien, and then we'll move to a roll call if there's no other comments.
I think Councilmember Martin covered pretty much what I was going to say. Just to highlight, we were told in January this representation would help the city decide whether or not we could recognize them. We can recognize them, but this litigation is about which union we want them to join.
In the language of PERB, it's what is the most appropriate bargaining unit.
Right. So the city is fighting the workers' choice of bargaining unit, and I understand logically it might make sense for them to join AFSCME. But the reality is they asked AFSCME in the beginning of this process and were told no, went with Workers United, spent time building a relationship and a strategy, and then came back and said, oh no, now the city wants you to join AFSCME. That's why we're here. And I did not vote. I feel deceived because in January I didn't want that to happen. That was not my desired outcome, and I was led to believe this union, that this representation would help us make the decision whether or not we could recognize them. And that isn't what's going on. And so again, that is why I'm voting no, and I feel like it took us all of this discussion to get to that point when that's what I said in the beginning.
The only point I would add is that one of our unions that represents a lot of our employees said that, raised their hand and said, no, we should be the appropriate union to represent these folks. So
I do wish they would have said that when they were asked.
Well, they're saying it now, and they're here. They're in our camp. This is our union. This is one of our unions. So
I hear you. I
mean,
second Councilmember Martin.
Yeah,
100% support AFSCME, but I also support the workers' choice.
I get that, but I as mayor are going to support the existing bargaining units that we have currently in City
So with that, I'll move us to a roll call vote on the item. So again, we're on introductory 411, authorizing the mandatory agreement for labor and employment law services. Roll call vote.
Councilmember Gruber,
Yes.
Councilmember Lightfoot,
No.
Councilmember Lupian,
No.
Councilmember Martin,
No.
Councilmember Monroe,
Yes.
Councilmember Patterson,
Yes.
Councilmember Smith,
No.
Vice President Harris is excused, President Melendez.
No. Motion carries. Or actually, the motion fails. So we'll now move on to introductory number 412, a local law establishing a school bus stop armed camera demonstration program. There are two disclosures for this item, one from Council Vice President Harris and the other from Councilmember Lupian, as they're both employed by the Rochester City School District. They are required to disclose the information, but they may participate and in the discussion and the vote. So for this item, I'm sure there might be some additional comments. I know Councilmember Lupian has some.
I just wanted to follow up on my request that the money be used to benefit children that we will be gaining from the fines, and wondered if that was given any consideration.
Yeah, that's definitely given the consideration. Children in particular, and particularly children around traffic safety. And I just want to remind folks that we're not doing this for the fines. I hope that we don't collect tons of fines, but the fines that we get, yeah, we want to, because this is related to young people in education.
Right.
That's where the dollars should go.
So being that the dollars are being allocated in this legislation to the general fund, what assurances can we have that they will be redirected towards children?
When we allocate dollars to the general fund, even though they're in the general fund, we will have a tracker on how much of the funds that we get from bus arm cameras.
Can that be reported to
And
council?
that will be regularly reported, similar to us reporting on how much we have in opioids and any other things that we do.
And so when we allocate those funds, it'll be demarcated in the legislation?
We could, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, we could. Similar, just like we do with the opioids or ARPA.
Exactly. Yes, that would be great. Thank you.
Any additional, Councilmember Martin?
Yes, I wanted to ask about the warning period, and we talked a bit about a timeline for when that period would be, when people would get a warning during like the initial rollout while the community learns about its existence. Have we landed on a time, on an amount of time that would be?
So municipalities that have rolled this out have ranged from 30 to 90 days. As we go through the implementation process, we will land on a warning period.
Sounds good. And with the rollouts, there have recently been, some situations that weren't rolled out in the best possible ways, and I see it as a learning opportunity to apply to other things we roll out. Could you talk a bit about the plan for education, awareness? I do believe some community members don't even know what to do in certain situations, and despite being well-intended, they still break the law, and this is an opportunity to teach them in service to our youth and to keep our youth getting off buses safe. So I see an opportunity to teach the community and keep our children safe here also.
Yeah, I think as far as rollout and communication goes, that's a much broader and in-depth question than I can answer here in a short amount of time, but certainly we understand the importance of this initiative to council. It's certainly extremely important to the administration, and so we'll keep you apprised as we implement and roll out.
Awesome. And final question. Is it possible to mail notices to residents saying, this is here, this is coming, follow the law?
Yeah, I think that anything like that will be part of a bigger educational program, including having people who may have gotten hit by buses while getting off. There's the 3 E's that we often talk about when we talk about traffic issues. Education is that first E. Enforcement is the other one, and that's the one where you get that ticket. And then also design is another thing that we talk a lot about when we talk about traffic stuff. But the education component will be critical as we start to roll this out. So no one will be surprised when they if they will get a ticket for running a red light.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Councilmember Gruber.
Thanks. I'm glad we're bringing this to a vote tonight. It's important for all the reasons that Councilmember Monroe very poignantly stated in the committee meeting. Very much hopeful that this work helps us avoid crashes, accidents, injuries, deaths. We have a long time to do the implementation, which is really nice, and I would ask maybe a way to kind of put a finer point on some of the comments the administration has made already. Perhaps as you begin to do think about the implementation before the school year next year, the Vision Zero task force that got put together can be part of the kind of advisory committee around some of that. I think it's really important for us to think about the education component together, thinking about how we're going to, hopefully we're writing no tickets at the end of the day, and hopefully that people are following the law, but I would love for there to be some real engagement with the Vision Zero team on this. And in terms of Councilmember Lupien's questions about the dollars, I appreciate that the account can be kind of segregated out so we can see where the money is once tickets do start to go out. And Deputy Mayor, I asked you a question at the committee meeting, but basically I just want confirmation that we could have a monthly report, even if it's 5 minutes, 2 minutes at the Finance Committee meeting on a monthly basis of how many tickets have been written, how many tickets have been appealed, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, I think certainly would provide something in writing, and then to the extent we think it's appropriate month to month, especially in early going, we'd provide that in the committee.
Great, and I just hope that as the administration thinks about the implementation plan with the school district, there's an opportunity to engage council on the Vision Zero task force, but very, very happy to bring it forward and look forward to voting yes on it.
All right, any final thoughts, comments? All right, with that, we'll move to a vote on introductory number 412. All those in favor, this is a roll call vote, excuse me. Roll call vote.
Councilmember Gruber?
Yes.
Councilmember Lightfoot?
Yes.
Councilmember Lupian?
Yes.
Councilmember Martin?
Yes.
Councilmember Monroe?
Yes.
Councilmember Patterson?
Yes.
Councilmember Smith?
Yes.
Vice President Harris is excused. President Melendez?
Yes. Motion carries. Introductory number 413, authorizing agreements for implementation and administration of a school bus stop arm enforcement program. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Introductory number 414, authorizing an intermunicipal agreement relating to the acquisition of a parking lot for the World of Inquiry School number 58. There's two disclosures for this item as well, but from Vice President Harris and Councilmember Lupian, but may participate in the item and vote. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Chair Gruber, do you have a motion related to introductory number 419?
I do. I'd like to make a motion to discharge instructor 419 from committee. Can I have a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded, so let's vote on discharging introductory number 419, which is authorizing an agreement for the management and operation of Blue Cross Arena at the War Memorial from committee. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Any discussion, comments, or concerns on the item?
Yes.
Yes, Councilmember Martin.
Does this affect Amerks being in our city at all? I know many of us go to the games, and it's important to our community.
No,
Okay,
this is just
excellent.
operating for concerts and other things that are non-hockey related, and actually running the concessions and other things within the. So this is the operator, so they run the actual.
Amazing. Thank you.
Any additional? Seeing none, we'll move on adopting introductory number 419. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. So before we move to the Public Safety Committee report, I do have a correction on my end, and my apologies for this, but we have to go back and re-vote on two items really quick because I abstained on the wrong one. My apologies. So introductory number 388, if we can point our attention to that item. I did abstain on that and did not have a reason to abstain, and I know that we can't do that, so
No,
I
we
want to
can't.
correct that. I want to correct that on the record. So introductory 388, an ordinance authorizing sale easement on 280 North Union Street. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the motion carries on that. And then the item I meant to abstain on is introductory number 394, authorizing appropriation, budget amendment, and amendatory agreements related to the Buy the Block program. All in favor, please say aye. And I abstain. Thank you for indulging me. My apologies.
I have
Chair-
a question, sorry, for legal.
Yes.
As you know, the former abstainer who got the rule changed. So when someone abstains, do they have to verbally disclose the reason they're abstaining, or can that disclosure just be in writing and on our desk?
So the way we do it is the disclosure is in writing, and we indicate that there's a conflict that requires abstention or recusal. The reason can be stated, but doesn't have to be.
Thank you.
And for the record, my abstention on 394, which I read on the wrong item, is due to my connection to the Greater Rochester Housing Partnership.
Can I follow up on that?
Yes.
So what I'm hearing you say, and correct me if I'm wrong, you don't have to state the reason for your abstention?
So I believe we already have it when we read out as part of council proceedings.
But it has to be defined somewhere.
Correct.
Right, okay, thank you.
All right, with that, Chairperson Lightfoot, the Public Safety Committee report, please.
Thank you, Mr. President, and to the council. The Public Safety Committee recommends for adoption the following title legislation. Introductory number 415, authorizing agreement and amending the 2024-2025 budget to fund the pedestrian safety enforcement and education program. Introductory number 416, authorizing intermunicipal agreement with the Rochester City School District with regards to overtime police services for traffic and crowd control services. Introductory number 417, authorizing intermunicipal agreement and amendment of the 2024-2025 budget related to the tobacco vape compliance inspection grant. Introductory number 418, bond ordinance of the City of Rochester, New York, authorizing the issuance of $3,520,000 bonds of said city to finance the replacement of Truck 5 at the Gardner Avenue Firehouse and Truck 6 at the Hudson Avenue Firehouse. Respectfully submitted by Councilmember Dr. Mitch Gruber, Councilmember Mary Lupian, Councilmember Stanley Martin, Councilmember Bridget Monroe, Councilmember Michael A. Patterson, Councilmember Kim Smith, Council Vice President Lachey Harris, Council President Miguel Melendez, and myself, Willie J. Lightfoot.
Thank you, Chairperson Lightfoot. That report will be received, filed, and published, and will proceed with the vote. Introductory number 415, authorizing an agreement and amending the 2024-25 budget to fund the pedestrian safety enforcement and education program. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Introductory number 416, authorizing an intermunicipal agreement with the Rochester City School District with regard to overtime police services for traffic and crowd control services. There are also two disclosures on this item. Vice President Harris and Councilmember Lupian are employed by the district but may participate in discussion and the vote. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed?
No.
We'll do a roll call.
Councilmember Gruber,
Yes.
Councilmember Lightfoot,
Yes.
Councilmember Lupian,
Yes.
Councilmember Martin,
No.
Councilmember Monroe. Yes. Councilmember Patterson,
Absolutely.
Councilmember Smith. Yes. Vice President Harris is excused. President Melendez.
Yes. The motion carries. Introductory number 417, authorizing an intermunicipal agreement and amending the 2024-25 budget relating to the tobacco vape compliance inspections grant. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Introductory number 418, a bond ordinance of the City of Rochester authorizing the issuance of $3,520,000 bond of said city to finance the replacement of Truck 5 at the Gardner Avenue Firehouse and Truck 6 at the Hudson Avenue Firehouse. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Oh, excuse me, this is a roll call vote.
Councilmember Gruber,
Yes.
Councilmember Lightfoot,
Yes.
Councilmember Lupian,
Yes.
Councilmember Martin,
Yes.
Councilmember Monroe. Yes. Councilmember Patterson?
Yes.
Councilmember Smith? Vice President Harris is excused. President Melendez?
Yes. Motion carries. So before we depart today, we have a couple quick announcements. I do want to yield the floor to Councilmember Lightfoot to talk about the Rock Against Gun Violence upcoming activities.
Thank you, Mr. President. To the council and to everyone listening, I want to, first of all, thank the mayor and his administration because, of course, this is a partnership. This is the first Rock Against Gun Violence Coalition annual Youth in Crisis Conference. We're having it this coming Saturday, October 26th. It is at the Rochester Riverside Convention Center. It is sponsored by this city of Rochester and city council entirely. All 9 council members are in full support of this, which is amazing. They said we can't do nothing together, but that is not true. All 9 council members are supporting our youth. We heard from Ms. Scott earlier that we have to impart in our young people. Well, that's exactly what we're doing. So her work was not in vain. We're still moving in that premise. But just so you know, Chris Good News Carwell is the photographer and he's a comedian. He will be the MC. Also, we have a keynote speaker by Shantara Mitchum from Teen Empowerment. There will be free breakfast. There will be a free lunch. There's haircuts that will be raffled off. There's a PlayStation 5 that will be raffled off. There's open mic for the kids. And also, there will be 5 $1,000 scholarship process that will be introduced at this event. We also want to thank Dr. Green, her staff, Vic Saunders, Office of Violence Prevention. We're bringing over 20 youth agencies together in one room. We have over 150 youth who have already registered. We put in for 200. We're going to exceed that expectation this coming Saturday. Mayor, you are on the agenda. We hope to see you or a representative there. And we're excited about this event. This is our young people lifting up their voices, giving them an opportunity to come and talk about how violence and gun violence impacts them and or for them to bring solutions for their generation. We heard from the GIS folks, scholars on this month, and we heard the impact that these young people have. We were all, I think, amazed at the GIS scholars presentation that they did here. There will be many presentations like that, but it's youth-driven, and it's about them, and we hope that everyone will come out. You do not have to register. This is a free event, open to the public, and we're hoping to see everyone come out. RTS gave us over 150 bus passes to get our youth there, so we're removing the barriers of transportation, and we're very, very, very excited about this first annual Youth in Crisis Rock Against Gun Violence Coalition City Council Public Safety Conference that we're having on this coming Saturday. Thank you, President Melendez. Thank you, Vice President Harris, who are also, they sit on and they are chairman of committees on this particular, and thank you, City Council, for putting your foot forward to help our young people in our community, and thank you, Mr. Mayor, for your support.
Hear, hear. And I want to just add one note that, you know, there's a whole backbone of folks that have been working tirelessly with the council behind the scenes, volunteers that are donating their time, their talents. So we thank all of the committees that are serving and working on preparation for not only this event, but other initiatives that are coming out of the coalition. And I'll specifically highlight, even though that person probably doesn't want to be highlighted, that Dassey is an all-star on the council staff.
Is a superhero.
And we're grateful for the work that you do supporting all of the coalition work. With that, Councilmember Lupian, I believe you have a couple items as well.
Yeah, we had our celebration. Thank you so much for all the work that you're doing. Can't wait to participate. I do have some questions for Chief Smith. There's been a couple of news reports recently this week and last around traffic stops and data collection. And I specifically remember asking about demographic data and traffic stops. And I also remember funding the Office of Business Intelligence to the tune of millions of dollars. Where are we at with being able to track this data, which I also believe, if I'm not mistaken, was part of the Executive Order 203 that council spent hours putting together. 4 years later, where are we at?
Chief, I would ask that you give that in writing to Councilmember Lupien. I will say that I know we're working with Measures for Justice to try to.
We can track this in our software. I would urge us to do that immediately, because we cannot track we cannot measure what we do not track.
I agree with that, and Chief, I think that we can make sure we give this in writing. So your question is, just to be clear, where are we at with tracking demographic data of people that are
specifically race?
Right, specifically race. Yeah.
I would like this to be more of a conversation, so maybe we could put together a work session.
I would definitely recommend that it be a work session.
Yep, great.
Great. Thank you. Councilmember Martin gets the final word.
Two things. One, I just want to speak on my position on good cause. It's been something that our community has been fighting for so many years. When a few of us introduced it 2 years ago, we hoped it would pass then. We have an opportunity for it to pass now. I want to share my full, unwavering support for the ordinance that's been introduced and an amendment that I hope to see. If I could, I would. I unfortunately don't have the votes to get it done right now, but I'm hopeful that with the continued advocacy of our community members, it'll have an impact and we will win this fight to keep tenants in their homes. And last, other question. In addition to that, the question and answers that we get in writing are not shared online. When I first started, that was something that was made public. We've received a lot of feedback from community members asking to be able to access the things that are in writing because they're following along. So I just wanted to figure out like who's responsible, how do we get that, and then hopefully within the next month.
Yeah, I think we could take that conversation. It likely would be a conversation with the clerk council office, and we'll get an answer to that. All right, so before we adjourn, I'll just say that it is my intention to have a full report from me to the council on good cause in the next couple weeks. We have some outstanding questions that we're still working on, and then hopefully that'll be before the council in the coming weeks. So with that, no further business, we stand adjourned.
To eastward to Bartlett Street, which then connects you in right at the Genesee Riverway Trail by Exchange Street. On the east side of the city, there's a number of great bicycle boulevard routes that either exist or are under construction today. One of the great existing ones, the one we're standing on right here at the corner of Harvard and Canterbury, is a place where two bike boulevards come together. And through this bike boulevard, you can go all the way from Hillside Avenue at the city line and connect your way around through here to the Park Avenue neighborhood and over to Monroe Avenue as well, using just these two streets, which historically have been known as good alternatives to Monroe or Park, or busier streets that some people may feel less comfortable bicycling on. We've chosen the routes that the bike boulevards are on for very specific reasons. One, they're great alternatives to some of the busier routes, and two, they connect major destinations, whether that's schools and rec centers, parks and libraries, employment destinations, retail corridors, all of that. So you can use the bike boulevards and our other bike routes to find your way that you feel most comfortable riding in. You can also connect in with RTS Transit at multiple locations along their various routes. And all of our bike share stations that are located along all of our major corridors can be easily accessed by the bike boulevard routes. Mountain biking is, of course, also popular in this community. There's a number of mountain biking parks around the county and throughout the region. Here in the city, there's Tryon Park, which is a great place to bike, and actually we are connecting to Tryon Park through our Bike Boulevard network. One of the routes will actually terminate at the park along Tryon. All of these investments come together to create a more bike-friendly Rochester.
Alex, what did you think about the ride today?
I loved today's ride. It was so different from all the other rides I've done so far, where I never left the city. It just felt really, really, really connected to the city.
So what do you think about the hopper assist?
Oh, this was awesome. I wish I had this on one of my more hilly rides. I'm definitely gonna get the electric one again.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah. Oh, look, there goes Scott.
Hey,
Scott, come on over. Next time, meet some local bike enthusiasts and learn more about our city's plan to build our bike infrastructure.
You're watching City 12.
Hi, I'm Alex Brown, and I'm here in my hometown of Rochester, New York. Join me as I step out of my comfort zone, jump on my bike, and experience the Flower City from the trails. Today, I'm riding from the west side of our city through the historic Cornhill neighborhood, and then to Dr. Martin Luther King Park downtown with friends. You know a great way to experience the city of Rochester? Get on your bike and hit the trails. I'm so happy to be riding with my friend Karen today. I haven't seen her in a long time.
Hey, Alex!
Hey, Karen.
Oh my goodness, look at you on the hopper bike.
I know, it's an electric one.
Oh my goodness, it's so cool. How did it feel?
This was so fun.
Awesome. I'm so excited that we're gonna be riding together.
I'm so excited too.
We're gonna see Cornhill. We're gonna see Clarissa Street.
Nice.
Can't wait.
I can't wait either. And this is gonna give me a lot of help today.
Yes, yes.
So, I've been riding my bike a lot lately, but I'm still a little uncomfortable on the streets and with traffic and stuff.
Well, don't worry, hon. I'm a league cycle instructor, so we teach people how to be safe on the street. And we're gonna learn about the new biking boulevards that the city of Rochester has, as well as their Complete Streets project.
I can't wait. Let's go.
You got this, come on.
This Hopper e-bike makes me feel like I'm gliding.
The Hopper is a micro-mobility system in the city of Rochester, and when we say micro-mobility, it's just units designed for a short amount of travel. So we have regular pedal bikes, electric bikes, and electric scooters. So you need to download the Hopper Transit app, and Hopper is H-O-P-R. So in your regular app store, Hopper Transit, just download the app and you'll get going from there. When you first download the app, obviously we need a little bit of info about you. So we want to verify that you're 18 years or older. So we have you upload a photo ID. And then from there, you can see what's available. When you go to make your first rental, you can scan the QR code, and then you'll be prompted to upload a credit or debit card. So we have different passes and rates available. Obviously, you can pay as you go. We have over 60 stations now. And in next year, we're hoping to be in areas farther spread across Rochester, say in Irondequoit, and we're even hoping to be in places like Canandaigua and Batavia. I think Hopper is so important to a community like Rochester because being on foot or using a bicycle, it just puts life back into the center of the city. When you step away from using cars where we don't interact with our neighbors so much, it's also great for somebody who just wants an on-demand option. You know that at the end of your block you have a Hopper bike or a scooter. You can hop on and just for a few bucks you can get to work, which is just an awesome option in addition to the buses and other things that Rochester already has.
Cornhill is a nice place to ride because it is pretty and quiet. It's the oldest residential neighborhood in Rochester. Besides looking at the beautiful homes, I like seeing the old churches. Like the Memorial AME Zion Church. In the basement of its old location, Frederick Douglass printed the North Star newspaper, and Harriet Tubman brought escaped slaves. There's also a church called End Time Deliverance, with a story I hadn't known about until today.
This is where Malcolm X did his speech when he was here in Rochester before he was assassinated.
Wow. This is a really amazing historic place, and it's all hidden right here in the middle of the city. I'm having a great time, and this ride is less than 30 minutes without stopping. Now, we'll ride down Exchange Street